But again, I didn't name all of them, and those were in no particular order. You guys get in the comments right now. What is one notable rivalry that is not scheduled in the future and has completely gone away that you miss, and or one that you think will eventually go away? What is up, everybody? It is Jake with Master of Football back at it again. Happy Friday. Almost there, man. Thank you so much for being here. If you want to be updated on all things EA college football, pro football, Madden, anything like that related to American football, hit the red subscribe button. You will not be disappointed. It's not going to cost you anything. All it's going to cost you is being up to date on everything EA college football, pro football, Madden, everything like that. Hit the like button, subscribe, share, all that stuff. I appreciate it. Let's get into the video right now. So I saw an article today that had me thinking about something bigger because it made me appreciate a direction that certain conferences and certain teams are going in. I won't say conferences, I'll say teams between conferences here that are going in, because there's some good news, and this is mostly going to be a bad news conversation. But let's start off with some good news first. Here we are on ESPN.com, and again, according to the AP, Iowa and Iowa State extend Cy-Hawk series through 2027. So as you know, Iowa in the Big Ten, Iowa State in the Big 12. They play typically one of the first couple games of the season. They will play against each other. They are going to continue to play each other. They have played annually, resuming the series in 1977, excluding the pandemic-shortened 2020 season. The teams first met in 1894, with Iowa holding a 46-23 advantage in the series. Iowa State won 10-7 in Iowa City in September. And again, here it says the extension calls for the teams to meet in Iowa City on September 12th, 2026, and in Ames on September 11th in 2027. So they're trying to get this game going here because with conference realignment, now remember, these two have been in separate conferences for some time. They've had some time to kind of handle the situation. But with conference realignment, there's been several games that have been eliminated. And I want to talk today about a couple of those games because, man, again, not in no particular order here. A couple of these games are going to be, because of an announcement. A couple of these games weren't announced, and a couple of these games have not been announced yet. However, looking at the logic of it, they will be announced in the future. This is a projection by me. The last one's a doozy, but let's get going right now on the first one that's really, really sad. So here we are on Fansided.com. The Bedlam series becomes the latest iconic rivalry destroyed by conference realignment. And this one's a little bit weird because, you go to think about a couple different things. You think about Texas A&M leaving Texas. That was with a lot of animosity. Texas A&M left the Big 12 because they felt like Texas was felt like Texas was kind of jerking them around with the Longhorn Network and this and that. There were some things they did not like. They went to the SEC, and there was a little bit of animosity there. Now Texas is joining. And a big reason why it was leaked that Texas was joining was because Texas A&M was furious that now they lose that special window. Remember, they had that special window when they were the only SEC option in Texas, and they couldn't capitalize on it. And now Texas is coming in. And again, I know that right now it's not looking good for both teams. I know that Texas looks a little bit better. Texas A&M is not looking good right now. Man, you see Bedlam, Oklahoma State, Oklahoma. In my personal opinion, I was looking at a couple things, and I see the fact that Oklahoma in the future here, if you come down here and check out their future schedule, so they've got, 2029 and 2030, they play at Nebraska. You got some Clemson games. You got Michigan in a series here. I actually think that what's going to happen here is Oklahoma going to the SEC, Oklahoma State staying in the Big 12. However, Nebraska is going to be in the Big 10, a Big 10 SEC conference game. In the same way we see a lot of ACC, SEC games. We see Kentucky and Louisville. We see Georgia Tech, things like that. I think that this will be a game that will happen more and more often. It might take a little bit of time here because, again, schedules happen way farther in the future. But Nebraska versus Oklahoma, I think that is going to be a game they're both going to try to lean in a little bit more because, unfortunately, they're saying Oklahoma State, just not worth it, man. The next one here is the Battle of the Brazos. And again, you're going to see something. You're going to have a correlation at the end here that we're going to discuss here, but we're seeing the Battle of the Brazos here, Baylor versus Texas A&M. These teams are really, really close to each other right here, 90 miles apart. Rivalry was in 1899. It's been dormant since 2012 when Texas A&M left the Big 12 conference for the SEC. You come down here and check this out. Stopped in about 2009, 2010, 2011. Have not played since. Texas A&M leads the series 68-31. But a big reason why I'm a little upset at this was because just about that time, 2012, I want to say was the last game, I believe 2011. I just saw it a couple of seconds ago. Go back and check me on this. But again, right around here, Art Briles was just starting to get things rolling. You see 10-3, and then 2013, 11-2, 11-2, 10-3. Then they had a couple, doozies here. We had a 2-7 and a 1-11. We see 11-3, 12-2. We see the fact that this, again, that's with Matt Rule, with Art Briles, and with Dave Aranda. Multiple 10-win seasons with 3 different coaches. Baylor seems to have hit kind of a little bit of a stride here. And it sucks that they weren't able to do that when they had the opportunity to play Texas A&M. I know that everybody's going to say, oh, yeah, well, Texas A&M, they own this series. They do own this series, but it would have definitely evened out a little bit had they been able to play so far into the future here. But, man, yeah, this one right here, another one that has fallen away. I also have to give recognition to my Boise State Broncos. They just played BYU football at home this last year. BYU came in at 4-5. They were looking down. Boom, they win. Last year, BYU was an undefeated team. Boise State having a down season. Go to their house, win. It was a big-time rivalry, and it sucks because Boise State, BYU, pretty close in proximity. I mean, remember out west here, there's few and far between. There's lots of space for us compared to out, east and down south. But, it was a really, really popular game. Boise has a very large Mormon population, so it was really crazy to get them in our stadium. We traveled pretty well down there, too. So another game, because BYU has plenty of rivals going to the Big 12, they are going to end this series. I hope, like I said, I hope that the Big 12 comes a calling for Boise State. I'm just saying, speak words to power, speak to power. But I'm going to be upset that this one is leaving, too. The next one here is Missouri versus Nebraska. Now, you've seen a couple things I've said here in the fact that, there's a team that leaves and a team that stays. Now, remember what I said earlier, a big factor behind all this, and think about this. Nebraska, who are their main rivals? You're probably going to go, Iowa's up there, Colorado's up there, you're probably thinking Oklahoma. You see how Missouri is down there. So a lot of those primary rivals, in the same way you see Iowa and Iowa State are still able to play each other, Kentucky and Louisville are still able to play each other. However, some of these rivalry games will fall off. It's the second-tier ones. Boise State, BYU. For BYU, Boise State was kind of a secondary rival. Boise State's primary rival, nobody really knows at this point. If we're being honest, I'm a Boise State fan. I really don't know myself. But in the same way here, Nebraska, Missouri kind of fallen off here. Been playing since 1892. They played for the Victory Bell. However, when they moved over, you can come down here and check it out. They, what was this? 2010. They have not played since then. So it's another one of those games that has just kind of fallen off. They're pretty close in proximity, but just no games, man. So it's unfortunate. Like I said, a secondary rival. So, and you'll be able to see some new rivals here between these conferences and these teams. But Missouri, Nebraska has fallen off. I would have included Missouri and Kansas. However, Missouri and Kansas are slated to play in the future. This one doesn't really have a possibility in the future. The next one is arguably one of the coolest names out there for a rivalry game. So Louisville and Cincinnati, and again, these teams used to be conference foes. Louisville went to the ACC, Cincinnati went to the American, and now they're going to the Big 12. They have not been playing for a long time. It was the Keg of Nails. This is such a cool name for a rivalry here. And you see the fact that it's got a couple notable games here. December 5th, 2013. They have not played each other since. Louisville always is going to play Kentucky. You also have to remember here. So for these teams, it's going to be difficult for them to schedule them in the future. They probably can. And I know that for Cincinnati, more than likely, they're going to schedule Miami, Ohio. They play them every single year. Louisville is going to schedule Kentucky every single year. You see how these two aren't primary rivals. So it kind of clogs up that non-conference schedule. You only have a couple, maybe 4 or 3 games to schedule there. They just don't really have the ability to do that. Another one here related to BYU is the Beehive Boot. Now, remember here, I do think they plan on playing Utah in the future. However, Utah State looks like they're going to potentially be kind of screwed out of the situation. So in the same way, this is a 3-team rivalry. So there's another 3-team rivalry that I know of is the Commander-in-Chief's Trophy, Army, Navy, and Air Force. And what happens here is they all play a round robin every single year, and then whoever has the best record keeps it. Whoever, I'm not sure what they do about 1-1, but for the Beehive Boot, it's a situation where, BYU might play Utah and Utah State, but Utah State might not play Utah. So one team might go 1-0, one team might go 2-0, one team might go 1-1. It all just depends on how things go. But for the most part, man, you see this right here. It said Weber State was originally eligible to win the trophy, but in determining the trophy, it is unclear when this stopped being the case, but it was at least 2012 when Utah State won the trophy over BYU. BYU's win over Weber State was not counted towards their in-state record. So it's kind of an in-state record thing here. And as BYU moves away from Utah State as they join the Big 12, it's going to be harder to schedule those non-conference games. Going to try to fit Utah in. But This trophy, man, I'll see what they do, but it looks like one that could potentially be going away. And then last but not least, I told you this one is going to be interesting. This one has not yet been announced. There's no indication of this. This is pure speculation. I feel pretty strong about this one. Stanford and USC. So here's the situation. The Big Ten is going to have 16 teams. You go to a 9-game conference schedule there. Actually, they actually already have a 9-game conference schedule right now. Stanford is going to stay in the Pac-12, which is going to be the Pac-10. But maybe if they add San Diego State, it'll be the Pac-11, and maybe if they add SMU, it'll be the Pac-12. I have no idea what to expect at this point. However, USC is going over. Their main rival is UCLA, who's coming with them. So that's the in-conference rival. Their main out-of-conference rival is going to be who? Notre Dame. So again, that's going to be 9 conference games plus 10 for Notre Dame. I don't think they're going to also put Stanford in there and then only have one variable game every other year. I think they're going to continue to play Notre Dame. They're going to have their 9-game conference schedule, and I think they might drop off with Stanford. Again, that's just me right here because, like you said, with UCLA, their main rival is USC. Their other rival is Cal, UCLA, UC Berkeley. That's how it's going to work there. So it's going to be a situation where Stanford might not be able to play USC going forward. However, this would all change if there would be a West Wing of Stanford and Cal and Oregon and Washington go over to the Big Ten. No indication of that happening anytime soon. And I actually think that Ohio State is like, we literally don't want that at all. So this game in the future, I'm telling you, has not been announced. I would not be surprised if this game fell off. I mean, imagine all the good games. Imagine all the, remember when Pete Carroll walked up to Jim Harbaugh and was like, dude, what's your deal, man? Those games are going away, and it sucks, man. So this is me just whining just because I'm like, dude, conference realignment eliminates a lot of rivalries. It also creates a lot of the new ones, too. I do know that a couple of these will come back. BYU is going to join the Big 12. They're going to play TCU. They're going to play Baylor in the Sailor Bowl. There's a couple things like that. Missouri and Arkansas have a rivalry now. So there's a couple games that you're able to create from these new scenarios. But a couple of these that go away. First of all, I'm really upset about the Kagan Nails. That actually was a really cool trophy. But again, I didn't name all of them, and those were in no particular order. You guys get in the comments right now. What is one notable rivalry that is not scheduled in the future and has completely gone away that you miss and or one that you think will eventually go away? Get in the comments right now and let me know. All right, guys, that's it. Thank you so much for being here. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Do all that stuff. I appreciate it. Have fun this weekend, guys. I am out.